It's Sjoerd from the Broca Brothers, and in this video I'm going to talk about how we approach stuttering and what can be done about it. I'm going to do so with a whiteboard. I've got a laptop with some notes here, and that's how I'm going to explain to you how we at Broca Brothers see stuttering and how we treat it. And while I'm going to explain this, I also have some questions for you. Right? Because when I'm explaining this, it's also good for you. It really helps if you think about these things yourself as well, because then it's more likely that the things that I'm going to talk about will make more sense. So, having said that, let's get into how we approach stuttering and what we can do about it. And well, let's just start with a question right away, but we'll start with a simple question, to get into it a little. So a question for you to think about. Do you always stutter when you speak? Do you always stutter when you speak? Right? Simple question to begin with. Probably doesn't have to take very long to come up with the answer to this question. Right? You can probably be very short in your answer, which is, well, no. I do not always stutter when I speak. There are also moments in which some words or some sentences do come out fluently, right? Let alone the whole days or weeks or maybe even months, right? In which your speech seems to go pretty well. So no, you don't always stutter when you speak. Then I have a second question for you. Why don't you always stutter when you speak? Or in other words, why do you sometimes speak fluently? Right? Because you are a person who stutters, right? So then why don't you always stutter? Why do you have these moments of fluency? Right? This is a question that most people who stutter do not really think about. Right? They mostly are focused on the moments of stuttering. Those are the moments that they want to get rid of. And they don't really pay any thought to the moments in which they speak fluently, right? They might even take them for granted, for example. And then they might conclude that, well, yeah, those moments are there because of luck. Or I'm just having a good day. Well, is that the case for you as well? Or are you just having a good day? Does it come down to luck? What if I told you that those moments of fluency, those moments in which you speak fluently, are there because you already are able to speak fluently? That those moments of fluency are there because you actually already are a fluent speaker. What if that's the case? Well, then you might say, well, yeah, that sounds nice. Would be good if that would be true, right? Well, I'm already able to speak fluently. I am already a fluent speaker. Sounds nice, right? But then, Sjoerd, why do I still stutter? You might ask. Right? If I'm already able to speak fluently, then why do I still stutter? That's a good question. And to find the answer to that question, we can take a look at the moments in which we stutter and see what actually happens with us, see what happens inside of us in those moments of stuttering. So let's take a look. And let's make a list of things that usually occur in moments of stuttering. And ask yourself, look back on the moments of stuttering and ask yourself what usually happens with me, inside of me, in those moments of stuttering. Well, Let's make a list of things that usually happen, that might be familiar to you. And let's start very simple, right? One of the things that usually happens is that our breathing is pretty shallow. It's pretty up high. So let's start with that. Shallow breathing. Right, another thing that may happen is that you speak a little too fast, right? You start speaking faster. Speaking fast. Now when we go a little deeper into it, the shallow breathing or speaking too fast or any other things like that usually also have to do with something like tension, right? Usually when we stutter, we can experience a form of tension. Some people call it pressure. Right? For example, the pressure to speak fluently. Some people like to call it stress. Right? Stressing out about a potential stutter, for example. There may be certain emotions going on. Right? Fear and anxiety. Maybe some shame. But also maybe enthusiasm, right? Wanting something too badly, wanting to speak fluently too badly, can also cause you to stutter. Maybe there are some thoughts going on inside of your mind. Right? Thinking about what might happen if you stutter, thinking about certain words to use or certain words to avoid. Can lead to some doubts, some hesitation, like I'm not sure if I'm able to do this. Maybe I should just not say anything at all. I'm not sure about this. All things that might seem familiar to you. And I'm going to add one more thing. Because all these things, to most people who stutter, they usually can see one or two points that are familiar to them. But then, often during our coaching, we get the question that, this makes sense, this is familiar to me. But I also have moments in which I do not experience anything like this. Moments in which I'm at ease, in which I'm relaxed, but I still stutter. Well, we as people who stutter have also to do with something called unconscious chronic tension, which is tension that has built up over the years that we haven't let go of, and so has become chronic tension. And as that progresses over the years, it becomes so normal that we don't really feel it anymore. And by that, it can feel as if we are relaxed, we are at ease, but it could be that inside of us it might look a little different. And therefore, we might still be able to end up stuttering. So I'm going to add one more thing to this list. Chronic tension. So, some things that may happen in the moments in which you stutter. And these are just some examples, right? There may be more, but usually people see some familiarities in these points. But then you might say, I indeed recognize some of these things in my moments of stuttering. But who says that these things have anything to do with the stuttering? Right? Who says that these things cause the stuttering? Well, then let me ask you this question. What if all of these points are not present? You breathe in deeply. You speak very calm and relaxed. There's no tension going on. There's no anxiety or fear or shame going on. You don't think about what to say and how to say it and when to say it. Right? What if all of those things I just listed here are not there when you're speaking? Well, then it's very likely that your speech is way more fluent. Right? So in other words, fluency is simply the absence of all of these points of this list. It's the absence of. And this is where it gets interesting. Because when we see this, that fluency is simply the absence of the points listed here, it means that you don't really need much in order to speak fluently. It means that you don't really have to learn something in order to speak fluently. Right? That you don't really have to learn some kind of speech technique, or some kind of breathing trick, or whatever. This means that it's not about learning something new, about adding something extra. This means that it's much more about unlearning. About unlearning the points in this list. And the unlearning is also something that we call letting go. So when we talk about letting go of stuttering, we talk about letting go of the things that get in the way of your fluency. Because as I said earlier, what if you already are able to speak fluently? What if you already are a fluent speaker? When we add this to that, it becomes clear that you already are a fluent speaker, you already are able to speak fluently, but that sometimes something gets in the way. Something gets in the way of that fluency from coming out. These points. So letting go of stuttering means letting go of the internal blocks so that the fluency that's already inside of you is able to come out, is able to flow out. Right? It's called fluent speech, fluency for a reason. And now you can also see that stuttering isn't really much of a speech problem. Right? That stuttering is simply the symptom of deeper lying causes, of underlying causes. Again, some of these points. And so during our coaching, during the letting go of stuttering, we work on these causes by letting go of them. Well, to make it simple, we can talk about 3 things that we do during our coaching, during the letting go of stuttering, in order to let go of these underlying causes. But I'm already going to say that the 3 things I'm going to talk about in a minute have to do a lot with each other. Right? They can't really be seen as separate things. But again, to make it simple, to give you an idea of how we then actually work on our stuttering, how that letting go of stuttering looks like, I'm going to take you through 3 things that we usually work on during our coaching. And the first thing that we usually start with are breathing relaxation exercises. Because without getting too much into it right now, by the right way of breathing, by breathing naturally, we can actually let go of everything that gets in the way of our fluency. Right? Breathing relaxation exercises. And we usually recommend to do these exercises once in the morning, once in the evening. But then there's a whole day in between those exercises, right? And then we get to the second point, is that we usually also talk about letting go throughout the day, which basically means how you can deal with your speaking situations, with your social situations throughout the day. Right? How you can deal with tension that you experience during the day, certain emotions, certain thoughts that come up during the day, how you can deal with them, how you can let go of them, so that the letting go of stuttering can also continue throughout the day. And then the third and last point is that we usually also work on getting to know yourself, which basically means that the tension that you experience during the day, the emotions, the thoughts that you experience, usually come from somewhere, right? They don't just simply come out of the blue. They usually have a reason why they are there. And then I'm talking about the more unconscious psychological patterns that have an influence, have an impact on your speech. Those three things, the breathing relaxation exercises, the letting go of stuttering throughout the day, and getting to know yourself, are basically the three things that usually are part of our coaching. And as I said, you can't really see those three things as separate things. They really work together as one thing. And there's one central theme to all of this, to all of these parts, and in the letting go of stuttering, which is that the deeper you let go, the more fluent you will speak. Right? The more you let go, the more free you will be in your speech. The more spontaneous your speech will be. The more effortless your speech will be. Right? And then you will be able to say what you want to say. You'll be able to do what you want to do. And that's what the letting go of stuttering can do for you. By letting go more and more, the fluency that is already inside of you is able to flow out again. Well, that was it for now. If you're interested in getting started with the letting go of stuttering, you are very welcome to do so. If you have any questions or anything else you would like to talk to us about, simply contact us as well. And then we might talk to each other in the future. Again, that was it for this video. Thank you for watching. Talk soon.